without an appropriate agenda item being posted in accordance with the Texas open meeting laws. I'm going to have that memorized before we're done, before I'm done, however long that is at the end. So, okay, first up, Ms. Donna Hartman.
Got green now. Donna Hartman, 112 Great West Loop. I was going to address in your workshop today, as far as the ordinance for construction, housing, and zoning, just a few comments. Since now we are changing out where the city manager has always been the building. I gave you mine, so. That, shame on you. And we're going to change that. I don't have any problem with changing that. But I do believe that we need something at the front of the ordinance saying something similar to that the city manager, that the building official is under the direction or guidance of the city. My time. I think it's very important that we have that. And I know it's kind of a given, but not really, because there's nothing in this. And since we're making, that's a big change. We've never not had the city manager as a building official. So not that I disagree with that, but I really think we need to have something at the front of that ordinance of the city manager. Also, on page 4, section 3002-006, with the issuance of the permit, okay, I think it would be easier, okay, building a house with your remodel and everything, it's almost impossible to build a house anymore in 6 months or 180 days, with setbacks, getting subs, the weather. So instead of doing a two-thing process, 180, then they can go back without fee and do it again. They could do it less, or they could do it in 1 year. Why not just have that? So the city, it's less paperwork, in my opinion, for the city. They take out a permit, 1 year later, you're due up. And then the building official can decide whether or not to give a waiver on extended time. If you do want to go with a suggestion of 180 days, I suggest that says there is a one-time extension without fee. That's in the notes, but let's put it up. You think, Mike? Okay, let's put it up in the ordinance there so that any other. Yeah, but I think a year is a more adequate time, don't you think? Okay, thank you. Don't take my time away that Mike talked. Okay, the other thing on page 6, section 3.002-007, the security fencing is stricken from the swimming pool. I think pool ordinance, the swimming pool part of it also, because I'm sure when Mike does inspections on the swimming pool, that also the fence is part of that. That should be an inspection with the swimming pool. So we might want to put it both, put it with your fencing and put it with that. That's just a suggestion. So anyway, those are just my suggestions. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Donnie. Donnie, are you representing Dr. Henderson?
Yes.
Okay, sit tight for me for just a minute then. We'll get you right back up. You're next. I just want to make sure that, yeah. Otherwise you got to talk fast. Okay, so that was our only public comment. So check. Okay, so first up, presentation, Representative Dr. John Henderson. I'll let you reintroduce yourself again when you get up there, Donnie, to discuss possible voluntary annexation into the city council. We've had several sessions about this. So Neil, if you kind of want to lead the introductions as you discussed with him.
Dr. Henderson called, and we've talked. I've gone back and forth with Dr. Henderson and his attorney several times. Finally, just last time I talked with the attorney, I told her that for the replat of the lots that they wanted to do, then they would have to comply with the city subdivision ordinance in constructing the road, those lots. They could either, and last, when I left it with her, they were gonna look at whether it was more advantageous to do their replat first with the county and be subject to the county's specifications, and then request annexation, or to go ahead and get annexed into the city and then do their replatting according to the city ordinances. They came back and they were going to propose, I believe, going ahead and coming into the city, but then doing their plat so that they have a private road as opposed to a public road, so that they don't have to go to the city specifications. Anyway, I believe that Dr. Henderson had to be out of town, but Mr. Vanelli, he and Dr. Henderson are the owners of the lots and the land that's involved. So he was going to come tonight. I thought it'd be quicker to, for this council to hear from them what they are proposing. And get this resolved.
Can I just ask a quick question? Do we have any other private roads in the city? Or are they all city or county? I'm just curious. This is something we've done before. Where's BJ? Is BJ here? Oh, okay.
Last thing that I remember that coming up was the development that was part of the Camp Tahoyah property wanted to have it gated and locked and have it a private road. And the city decided not to do that.
They turned that down, yeah. Okay.
You're up, sir.
Okay, I think Neil introduced it just as well as I could. Donnie Vanelli, we've been working on this, I would say, simplification of our lives out here with this Villas del Sol Association for the last 2.5 years through a couple of mayors and a couple of city managers here at Morgan's Point. So John is, as Neil said, John is moving to Florida. So he's abandoning me to go to the Sunshine State. So we just felt like this would be the time to go ahead and simplify everything as he sells his property. So if you can flip to the next, so first off on that first slide, the subject of interest is that are those 8 property IDs there in the blue. It's about 23 acres. And if you can pop to the next slide, I'll kind of quickly tell you. Of course, now my old eyes can't read from back here. But basically, this is 23 acres of land. It's a combination of fee simple and leasehold interest. John and I own 69% of the land and the controlling interest in the governing association. The water supply for the lakefront lots right now is a well. The water supply for the lots that are on the north side of Camp Kachina Road is via the city. Even though they're not part of the city, they buy water at the non-resident rate. So essentially, we've had several background discussions. What Steve Nash wants to do is the leasehold owner. There's a 3.7 acre green space. I guess he's in his 80s at this point. He wants to donate that land and have it dedicated as a park. We've met with Dennis, with the city, and then we talked with Steve and said, okay, if he's willing to do that, John and I are willing to donate a 3.8 acre lot because Dennis had indicated to us that it would be nice to have some infrastructure space for the city in that location because it seems to be centrally located between all of the development that's going on. So John and I went back to Steve Nash and said, hey, if we donate this land, will you get rid of the couple of lots that are under leasehold? They're 200-year leasehold. If you ask me what I'm going to do in 183 years from now, I don't know. It'll be somebody else at the city council meeting if we're still talking about it at that point. But it won't be me, I'm pretty sure. So John and I agreed with Steve that we would donate that in exchange for simplifying the leasehold structure, which then just makes it a lot easier to sell it and allow that land to be, I would say, put to good use for the city and for somebody else. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see just kind of a little bit more detail. The lot on the very top end of the screen is the 3.9 acres that John and I own. I think that's discussion about if you need a water tower, a pumping station in the future, that's available there. The next lot down, there's a little road lot that accesses Camp Kachina. Actually, the underlying land on that is owned by the association, so it's dedicated to the city. The road is the city's road, but ironically, we pay taxes on the city's road. I don't understand how that works, but congratulations, however that ended up. And then finally, the lot kind of in the middle, the darker green one, that's this 3.7 acres of green space that's dedicated within the association to be used as park and maintained as green space. And that's the land that Steve Nash wants to donate to the city as a park. So part of that is we as the association have to agree with Steve to donate that. And then, as I said before, we wanted to agree to go ahead and donate that land in the back for infrastructure reasons. So then what's in question and what Neil's referring to are the 5 lakefront lots on the front there. And if you go to the next slide, I've got that zoomed in a little bit more. And so this is what John and I are proposing, and then there's a couple of things that we'd like to bring to the city and then have you tell us what you want to do, because the last thing I want to do is go to the county, go to the city, go to the private engineer, and then come back and have everybody change their mind. We'd rather just do it one time, get it done. If we need to go to the county, come to the city. I like simple in my life. We're not looking to make a great deal of money on this. We simply want to do something. At this point, my wife and I live in Gatesville, and John's moving to Florida. We want to turn the land to something that's good use. We think we can put together a win-win for the city and ourselves and the community. That's the goal in this. So when you see the 2 lots to the left, John's lot is, there's houses on those 2 lots to the left on that map. We would propose that those stay unannexed, just as part of the county. They're supplied by a well. Let them stay on the well. And then the other 3 lots, they're kind of long bowling alley lots with the private road that's chip sealed. I think it's about 14 to 16 feet wide right now. We would propose breaking those up between the north side and the south side, and having those lots face on Spruce Drive. They'd be about an acre, 1 to 1.2 acres apiece, having the frontage of them go on Spruce Drive, where the city already has a city road and already has water infrastructure. Simplest thing to do. And then what we'd like to do is take the 3 halves that are left on the lakefront and divide those into 2 lots. And so now what Neil's referring to, because the other side of it is having a 90-foot by 900-foot long lakefront lot, just seems a little odd, unless you want to have a bowling alley, which we don't. So we think taking those 3 halves in the front, dividing those into 2 lots that are 120 to 150 feet wide by about 400 feet deep makes the most sense for development purposes, for land value, et cetera. Increases the tax base in the best way. So then the question is, what do we need to do with that private road? What do we need to do with water access to those lots? And then we're open to having those lots annexed or not annexed, whatever the city wants to do. So the option that the county engineer had suggested to us, that I think, Neil, you're referring to, is we could have that road be a private road. And apparently the state regulations say that you can have a private driveway for up to 3 lots. So that's one option. We don't want it gated. We don't want it locked. No interest in any of that. We just need it for access. The other alternative would then be to take on the, and I can't read the number on it, but if you look, if you don't mind, if I'll walk over to the screen.
Can we get a copy of this presentation? Okay. Okay, that would be helpful. Yes, thank you.
So you see the city runs owns Spruce Drive down to here, and then what we've been told by the city is you have to have at least 75 feet of frontage with city property for an annexation or lot access or something like that. So we have talked about potentially, if we wanted to, we could donate the top end of this lot to the city, and then that would give both of these lots direct frontage with the city. Annex that requirement of the city. 8 acres of land, which is, probably worth $300,000 to $500,000 with Steve. And we're gonna pay higher city taxes. We're gonna get water in return, but we would prefer not to spend $250,000 making improvements in the road. So, it's kind of like we would like to make the donation, make it a win for the city, make it a win for us, not have to spend a lot of money to do that on both sides. So we're looking for the simplest, most convenient solution that maximizes the tax base, makes the land valuable, and gives the city some room to pivot for development, infrastructure, or park up in that area at the same time. So that's what we're thinking. I don't have a specific preference as to what we do. We just want to know that the city's okay with that, and that we can go to the private engineer and the county engineer, and then follow whatever process you want at that point. So, yeah. Right. Right. Yep. So I think the current road would be fine to do that. I think the original thought that in discussion we'd had with the city was running that, annexing all the lots. And then we would have to take that private road and we would have to improve it, and we would have to put a T or a culvert or cul-de-sac on the end of it, and that's where a lot of the expense would come in. So have to have a way to turn in and out. So, yeah. Right. Right. So we think the solution of turning the north side of those lots where they face Spruce Drive makes the most sense. And then on the south side, just having the 2 lots, and we can either do that off of the private road, which we can agree not to be gated, or we can simply take a bump out on the furthest to the right, lot number 1 on that screen. And we can take a bump out of that, donate that to the city as well, so that those 2 lakefront lots have the sufficient 75 feet of city road access on them as well. So we're happy to do whatever the city recommends. Obviously, the easiest is just simply do the private road. But if the city wants us to donate the tip of that lot number 1, we're happy to do that as well.
Well, do we need, Mike, do we need that access that he's talking about, the 75 feet? Do we need that? And I know you're not water, but to put in the water lines?
It's gonna have to be,
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you back there.
when they plat it, there's gonna have to be, on the east side of the private road, gonna have to easements for water.
Yeah, that's, okay. So that's the other purpose for it, I guess. Not
We
to-
can, yeah, and
Steve,
we can run easements as well when we replat. We can either run easements on city land, or we can run easements through the private lots, and just tell the lot holders when they buy that land, they can tie into a meter on the city street, and they have to run the water line, the 2-inch supply line from the meter. And that way you don't ever have to worry about running water at city expense down a private road. So that's also an option
Right.
as well. So.
Okay, well, this is on our workshop.
Okay.
And it's a presentation only.
Right.
So I guess we're allowed to ask questions, but otherwise, I don't think we can give you any feedback at this time as far as a decision or anything. Okay.
So the question.
I'd like to stew on the PowerPoint for a little bit, and, okay.
Yeah, the question basically from us is, we'd like to know as soon as possible what you feel like you need additional to what we've offered, which direction you want to go into. John and I can basically put a more formal proposal in place and say A or C, based upon what we've talked to with the county engineer as well. And then you can say, I like A, I like B, I like C, I like A prime, whatever you want. But we want to move relatively quickly on that. So because it's kind of been an ongoing discussion for a couple of years now, and we'd like to
And
go ahead.
we've
and
talked
line
about
up.
it a couple
So,
times, but without
Right.
this kind of specificity.
Right.
Right, and then the city staff would need to review the options and see what makes the most sense, for each of the departments and how they're impacted. Okay,
all of those long lots, now 5 long lots, they are all contiguous down at the bottom of the city.
got it.
And then because we had, we annexed the road to Campuchino
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
several years ago.
Yep.
Then the other tracks above it, on each side of it are contiguous.
mm-hmm, right.
So,
So that hurdle is already, yeah,
so yeah, that's taken.
okay.
So if I understood correctly, Neil, if the individual lots need to be contiguous with the city-owned property by some lineal footage, then that would basically require us to put a little bump out on lot 1 to make the next interior lot contiguous with the city. Is that correct?
Come up here and show me what you.
Yep.
The park, yeah. But that'll be city-owned too then, if it's donated. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
You're right.
I know, I understand.
I'd like to make it somebody else's headache, and actually make it useful for everyone. So I don't know where we take it from there, if it's something you guys need to discuss. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, let the staff review it and give their input, you know, and, yeah,
Yep. Is that something
That
you
sounds
think in
great.
a time frame could be done on your side? I mean, if we have our piece ready in the next week or so, is something for the
I have
November?
to ask Dennis. It's contingent on the staff being able to look at it.
I'm sorry, I was running my mouth.
I do.
We goose, we.
Yeah, so I think, and I was asking Neil, is if we get kind of those 3 concrete proposals to you within a week or so, could we get this on the city agenda for the November meeting? And John will be here.
Well, the November meeting at the latest, I would think, but they haven't heard it, but I was going to ask for a special session earlier than that, so there's an opportunity there as well, whether it's the end of the month or the first of the month, but still before the regular session is what I would suggest, because there's other things we're trying to address.
Right. That's all I had. We appreciate your time, and like I said, I think the goal for us is to make this, do something really, my wife and I know John's lived here for a number of years, we'd like to, and I know Steve Nash, with his family history here, we would like to do something that's meaningful for the community. It seemed to be the best way to do it and put all the pieces together. That was a win for Morgan's Point, a win for us as landholders. That's
Fantastic.
When you-
Fantastic. At one point, I saw a proposal that you wanted to have a specific name for your park. Are you still on that, or is it open for the city?
I think Steve would prefer that.
Okay,
I mean, that's more of a Steve Nash question.
Okay,
Kind of
all right,
over my
just
head,
curious.
Steve and John, but I think it's, we can, yeah, we can do that.
right. Yeah, because I Googled them and it was a common name and I was like all over the place from a
They're
Confederate
somehow
general to, yeah,
Yeah, to a prior governor. or
Right,
something like
exactly.
that. They're not a
Somebody at a
founding member of
temple.
The KKK, I mean, I know that much.
yeah. Well, that would be helpful, yeah. So we know, because there's a lot of people that have that same name. Yeah, okay.
Sure, so we'll do that for you. Very good.
Donnie, just one more thing. Please include the discussion about the water, because the city's going to either incur, you'll incur, or there's a combination or whatever. So that running down Spruce Drive, to bring it into that private road or whatever road it ends up being as well.
We were thinking and hoping, because we understand you're planning on going down Spruce Drive anyway, that we would just put easements in through the private lots, and then that lot holder
whatever you all suggest. I mean, there are plans, but a lot of it is not near term, from my understanding from previous discussions. So that's something that I would at least suggest that you include it in it one way or another and let council have that information available as well.
Fantastic, we'll do that. Very good. Any other questions?
Stole my line.
Coming.
You bet. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next up is discussion on 25077, which is discuss a future ordinance to edits contained in Chapter 3 of the building regulations. Council for clarity as we move forward. So talking with code enforcement prior to tonight, Dennis, you can address that one. The long and the short is that there will not be a decision made on that ordinance this evening. So I don't want to gloss over this. If there's discussion to be had, let's have discussion on it. But we do need to keep this short. We have 3 other items that we have to get to before regular sessions, since there will be decisions made on those. So go.
Well, do you want to, we'll probably have to double back to the workshop anyway. Do you
We're
want
going to at the end, yeah.
End of the workshop?
This piece?
Yes, and do the other ones that are more critical first?
We can do that if you're, I do not wish to take up your time if you
Oh,
are
I'm okay
not
with that.
available.
That's not a problem.
So
If you want to do those first, get them out of the way, and then we'll, because I've
The-
got several in a row that we were just going to go bang, bang, bang to get
Okay.
them all discussed.
Council, any issues with that? Okay, we will come back to the Chapter 3 discussion then. So, okay, next up,
That's why you get the big bucks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whammies, no whammies, big bucks. Me love you long time, by the way. Okay, discussion on 25078 is discuss a memorandum resolution authorize the city manager to execute a contract for marina maintenance and repairs in an amount not to exceed $100,000 as per the local government code 252.021. I did see Ronnie is in attendance this evening. That's good. Go.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor, City Council. These repairs are something that's, oh, you are here. I didn't see you. Go right ahead. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't see you.
You can do it.
No, I think you can tell us just go over the type of repairs we're dealing with. I will just preface it by this. Historically speaking, the Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 252, 021, I believe it is, had a restriction on what had to be competitive bid. And that's where you send an RFP out, vendors send responses, you take the lowest and most responsible bidder kind of approach to it in selecting that for the work that's to be done. In this case, the state law changed 1 September of 2025, and now they moved that $50,000 threshold to 100,000, or actually more than 100,000. So up to 100,000, we don't have to do a competitive bid anymore, but it still needs to come to council for approval. It's over 50,000, and that's part of the procurement manual as well. So that's
It's
why
not in
we're
the
here.
budget, so.
What, it's,
Not in
no,
the
that
budget.
fund is, these are repairs that you're gonna have to do just to keep it functioning.
It
yeah.
wasn't budgeted yet. We have to do
No,
budget.
no, it will be a fund balance draw of their
Yes.
networking capital, if you want to call it that. But it's going to be something that has to be done to maintain the health, safety, and welfare of the marina. And I think you'll hear that from Ron.
Yeah, and one other thing, I didn't look back at those regulations, but there are some things, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if there are specialties, like someone that is trained, qualified to do a ramp down to a marina to withstand so many mile-an-hour winds, and there's only like 2 people in the entire state of Texas and Oklahoma that do it, that you don't have to go out for a competitive bid. So it's $1 and then it's a specialty. Is that right? I mean, in
Well,
that ballpark?
there's what's called a single source or a sole source. Some people refer it to both. There are times when there's no one who bids on it and there's other methods to do it. There are exemptions as well under Chapter 252 that allows you to do certain things. For example, if an engineer is involved, then it's something that there's an exemption for that. In fact, you can't do an RFP for engineering. You have to do an RFQ. So there are certain stipulations, but in this case, I don't see we're there because there's an awful lot throughout the United States. And what happens is the state controller's office has a list of just about everybody that's in there that's available in the state, that's doing business, that can do business here. So there's always usually
And that is
some other
qualified
places.
to do this ramp.
That they could very well be. Yeah, they will be qualified or they wouldn't be selected because they still have to be chosen to be able to do the work. I think you had somebody lined up already. Okay, so,
Okay. And I just wanted to make sure if it was, 100,000, 102,000, that wasn't going to preclude us from going forward.
No, you can actually, the law doesn't prohibit you from going to RFPs if you wanted to.
No, I mean, just to go with, I mean, we've been talking to these people for a year, right?
Well, this particular one, I
Okay, I'll
think,
let you work out the
yeah,
technicalities.
this particular one, I think that prior to this, we had tried somebody else. Is that correct? And that fell through. And we already had I think we had an agreement in place.
Yes, sir.
And they didn't show up.
May.
So there's not a lot around this area. If it doesn't have to be competitive bid, that goes back to more the sole source or the single source. I'm not sure if it, but this appears to be okay in that sense. I asked them to do a memorandum, so we'll have it of record, so there won't be a question about how we selected who we did.
Okay.
Do what? I can't hear you.
Comptroller, talk to the comptrollers.
You said we have consulted with the state comptroller's office on what?
Oh, yes, yeah, that's
Oh,
something else.
right,
That's-
yeah, we know that law change, yes, thank you.
And Dorothy, I have got with 4 different people. Some of them just showed up when I wanted pictures from Austin, just take pictures, and it's past the scope of taking pictures. If you couldn't come to look at it then, I don't, that's the way I look at it.
Right.
So,
And-
anyway, these are things that have to be done.
I was just going to say, and the fact he's had 4 different vendors, now we've narrowed it down to where a single source or a sole source, if you will, would be reasonable, but needs to be documented for down the road. Someone ever questions it, we can say, here's why we went with a single source. That's why and instead of bidding it out, not that it's required, but there could be somebody else out there. But I think you've done your due diligence to get us where we are today.
And this will get us, we really need to move on it because I got an inspection coming up November through January somewhere. And some of these were hit on last year that have to be done on this one. It's going to take care of the high water ramp that people griped about for the last year and a half. That's included. There's some warps and breaks in the dock. And then it's also going to be an inspection included with this, where they go underwater and check on everything there. Y'all got any questions or?
I know we have fund balance, the auditors in the end of '23 said we had $1.4 million in our marina fund balance, so there should not be a funding problem, and we've had 2 years of probable profits since then.
Yeah, just for the record, I wouldn't, just because we don't have the audits, I would suggest that
Oh, that
this
was
is.
the last audit.
I understand that, but it's 2 years, yeah. So I would suggest that this is not a CIP project. It's not over 100,000. We talked earlier this year about that. So this is just upkeep, making sure it's safe for the residents to use. And yes, I do think there's enough funding in there. So to what extent, I really don't know, but I think you'll have that answer here a moment before long.
And we also got insurance proceeds
We
that
did.
were
And
recognized
that's been
in
deposited back in.
'25. Yeah, so I know we have that 118,000. So funding wise, I think we're in good shape.
Anybody else? Thank y'all.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Okay, discussion item 25079, discuss a resolution to approve and reschedule November city council meeting date. Quick summary, our next scheduled meeting, or our regularly scheduled meeting in November falls on Veterans Day. Dennis, go
And
ahead.
instead of a Tuesday, because a lot of people may be traveling, so if we can do it the Wednesday, I believe that's what we were shooting for. And if council has no objection to it, that's what our recommendation is. Ultimately, it's your decision.
Yeah, that sounds good, and we'll vote on it at the meeting, but there is a typo in the first whereas change just needs an E.
She changed that. We've got
Oh,
an
okay,
updated version.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion, council? Any potential issues with the 12th of November?
Good.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see, next up, 25080, discuss a resolution to approve PNC variance recommendation for 6 North Robin.
Okay, I want to ask a real quick question. Do we want to go back to DS 25077 and then go from there down, or?
I think 77 is going to take us a significant amount of time. Let's
Okay.
continue to move, yeah, we'll stick with 080 and 081 for now.
Okay, got it. All right. Okay, on our summary report from Planning and Zoning, we discussed additional storage building for property at 6 North Robin. A building variance application was filed with Morgan's Point Resort on August 6th of 2025. The request was to place a, was to, was. All right, here we go. Number 3. All right, we'll try this over. The request was for a variance to ordinance, chapter 14, appendix B, section 18. The ordinance requires a storage building to be at least 3 feet from the rear property line. The ordinance also limits the amount of storage building square footage to 5% of the total property size. Residents have 1 storage building on the property with 192 square feet. The second storage building request is 240 square feet. Their total lot size is 4,900 square feet with a total of 245 square feet of storage buildings allowed. P&Z recommended consolidating a contiguous lot that they own with their current lot, which would allow their second storage building to be placed on the new lot size. They are working to accomplish that. The resident was at our workshop, answered other questions that P&Z had at that time. So P&Z is sending this request to City Council for consideration. We are okay with placing the storage building on the rear lot line since there is a green easement behind their lot. If the resident consolidates the 2 lots, it will allow them to place the second storage building on the new lot and not violate the 5% ordinance. So our action item is City Council to consider allowing the second storage building on the new consolidated lot if the resident has requested the lot to be combined.
Okay, can we discuss it? I don't
Sure.
know if I have volume. I couldn't find the house number, 6 North Robin. The mailbox said 4 North Robin, not that that's a big deal, but in the resolution. And in the resolution, this says it's a specific use permit, and it's not. It's really a variation from our ordinances, and it's just the wording of the resolution. When I read through this, and I drove by it, and I looked, and they already have a storage unit that's on the easement, not 3 feet back, and they've had it for years, and they've been very compliant. We haven't had any issues. I have 0 problem with putting another storage unit back there, but I would like to hold on, yes, to the putting it on the baseline, but no to putting the extra storage unit on until they combine the lots. And then when they combine the lots, they don't have to come back to us again.
Great.
When they combine the lots, they will be in compliance. So it will no longer be a variance, and they will no longer need a variance. Rather than having a contingency that someone, I don't know if it's P&Z, I don't know if it's city staff, but somebody will have to follow up and make sure the lots got combined. So rather than put it on the city, I'd rather put it back on them. Go ahead and get them combined, and then you can do what you want.
Which we recommended that they do so. They told us at the meeting they were going to do that. We don't know if they've done it at this point.
Right.
Yep.
So, okay, well, that would be my recommendation on that one.
Okay.
Check. Hello. Anything else? Any other discussion?
So in that particular case, what it sounds like we need to do is communicate back to the resident that once they have consolidated those 2 lots, then we would be able to grant the variance. Well, it's really not a variance. We're right. Once they've done that, then they'd be able to do it. So Mike would be able to give them guidance on,
Inspections and electricity. Right, exactly.
okay? Awesome. All right, great. Yep.
So do we want to present a resolution saying that, or do we want to wait till it's all buttoned down and then we'll do it at the next meeting?
What we can do is push it back to P&Z. We have our next meeting October the 28th. So either between now and then, I can get back with Mike we can communicate that to the property owner. And as soon as the property owner brings the right amount of documentation that shows that they have replatted those 2 lots, then Mike would be able to give them the approval, I believe, without having to come back.
Yeah, and at
To either
that
one.
point, we would give them the variance for the easement.
Yes,
Okay, perfect.
yes, on the easement, right.
I think it's reasonable.
Council, anything else? Okay, we'll drive right into 25081, discuss a resolution to approve P and Z variance recommendation for special use permit at 18 Mustang.
Correct. On the agenda here, we had a public hearing was held at P and Z special meeting on September 30th. Public hearing was opened at 5:02 with no residents in attendance expressing concerns regarding the agenda item. Public hearing was closed at 5:03. P and Z committee members discussed a request for lot replat, trailer use, and new build on the new consolidated lot. The residents were present and provided answers to follow-up questions. The residents understood the position of the P and Z committee, and they were instructed that a recommendation would be forwarded to City Council at this particular meeting. On our public notice, letters were sent out to all residents within 200 feet of the consolidated lot. No residents were present to express any concerns. On our recommendation, after discussion and clarification, P and Z committee recommended moving this request to City Council, would like to place the condition of completion of the project within 18 months. Because what they're planning on doing, they have already consolidated 3 lots. They have a lot large enough for a aerobic system. He's got his plan put together for his single-family residential resident, and instead of leaving it open because he's planning on destroying his current mobile home. Once that's destroyed, he'll have the lot cleared to be able to go with his single-family resident. The question he had, and he really didn't have an answer as of yet, was whether it will be a foundation-built single-family residential or potentially a manufactured home that would be brought to the lot and placed there.
Zoned for that anyway, so there's no zoning change.
Correct. It's zoned for mobile home lot right now. Our question at P and Z was, if we allow him to build a full foundation lot, does he have to get that rezoned to single-family residential, or can we leave it zoned as mobile home?
That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Okay.
So I think we're clear enough on that to
Right. Yeah, that was my understanding of the variance, was living in the RV, because he has a, I
Correct.
drove by, he has an RV in the lot anyway. It has a slab that it's sitting on, it looks nice, but he's just not allowed to live in it. Right. Right. Exactly.
And I guess the only restriction we wanted to put was to have a time frame for them to be able to get this done. I mean, there's a lot he's got going on to be able to accomplish it, but I think if we were recommending 18-month from time of approval until we're done, and then if he needs an extension, he'd have to come back to city and ask for an extension at that point.
Okay, the resolution doesn't address that. I think it should probably be added to the
Add
resolution.
that, yes, we
On
would.
18 months.
Yep.
And then the resolution also says that we had a public hearing here tonight, which we did not.
Right.
But if you can put in the resolution that we had a public hearing at P and Z on September 30th,
Absolutely.
and that notices were sent out and that there were no comments. So flip that public hearing over to the P and Z meeting and add the 18 months to the resolution. And then I I think that's great. I
Okay.
could support that.
All right, great, thank you. Any other questions or concerns? All right, I think that moves us along to DS 25082.
It does, sir. However, we've got about 7 minutes before we roll into the regular session. So council, what I would like to do, rather than jamming all this in, is recess out of the workshop. Give us about 7 minutes to meet and greet and mingle, stretch your legs, gather your thoughts and ideas. We will reconvene back into the regularly scheduled agenda. And then, as we normally do, break from that and come back in the workshop. Any issues or concerns with that? Hi, Roxanne.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay, so I've got, yes, ma'am, we can hear you. I've got 1753. We were